Hi, and welcome to FranTastic InSights. My name is Melissa Blum, and I'm the VP of Franchise Expansion for FranServe, the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. Our mission is to connect aspiring entrepreneurs with life-changing franchise opportunities. Today, we aim to bring you some exclusive information on an innovative franchise brand that's really shaking up the fitness industry. I'm excited to welcome Tony Wind. He's the director of franchise development for Anytime Fitness, which is a Purpose Brands company. This is a global brand with over 5,500 locations and counting. Thanks so much for being my guest here today, Tony.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk to you.
Awesome. So let's get started. So you have a pretty unique story when it comes to how you arrived to be the director of franchise development for Anytime
Yeah,
Fitness. Could you share it with us?
sure can. Yeah, so I started out my journey with this company actually as a member. And so about 10 years ago, I was working at another great company, but it was a customer service type role, and I was sitting down all day. I would take up to 150 phone calls a day. I never passed up the free donuts on Fridays, and it's always somebody's birthday. They got like the cake and ice cream cart going around. Long story short, a little bit of movement and a lot of calories is a bad combination. And so I was like, I got to a point where I was at the heaviest point of my life, and I'm like, I need to do something different. And so thankfully, there's an Anytime Fitness across the street. So I started just sneaking out on my lunch break and really started to like the model. And then the flexibility of the 24 hours is like I can go before, after, during work, whatever fits my schedule. Long story short, within the span of a couple of years of working out there, I lost like 50 pounds. I ran a marathon, did a bunch of stuff I never even would have dreamed of at the time. And it was like, all right, there's something cool about this model. I'm from Minnesota. I was working in Minnesota at the time, and this is a Minnesota company. And so it's like, I'm going to throw my resume out there, see what happens.
Uh-huh.
Ended up getting hired, and I've worked in a few different capacities at this company, but been here ever since. So closing on 9 years, and it's a phenomenal company to work for.
That's amazing. Sounds like it was meant to be.
Absolutely, no, it's great.
Awesome. So just give us a little overview about Anytime Fitness. Tell us about the business model and what are those
Yeah,
key differentiators?
yeah. So kind of the business model in general. So Anytime is the brand that originated the 24-hour fitness concept. And so as you mentioned, right now we're at 5,500 locations. And one of the really cool things is our members can go to any of our gyms worldwide. We operate in 43 countries, and here's the crazy one, all 7 continents. We've got a gym in Antarctica. We're
No
the
way.
only franchise brand in the entire world that operates on all 7 continents. So
Well, that's a differentiator.
if you're ever down in Antarctica and you want to work out and you're an Anytime member, you can. And so, but no, we're all around the world. And in the US here, we've got about 2,300 here. And again, like wherever you go, there's a really good chance you're going to be one of our gyms. And the bigger we get, it's just the ever growing benefit to our members. There's more and more places for you to go work out.
Mhm.
And then kind of just like on the, franchisee side, it's a really low labor model. Usually you start with 2 to 3 total employees, and the way we do that is we have unstaffed hours. So we're a true 24/7 business to our members, but you don't need to staff it all the time. Our members can check in at the door, go work out whenever they want. So think weekends, nights, holidays, you don't need to pay somebody to sit behind a desk. Your members can still go work out. It's a beautiful. And then also one other thing too is we're really flexible in size and then also in pricing. We let our franchisees kind of adapt to their own communities and do what makes sense. So like, for example, I've got one in downtown Minneapolis. I've got one in downtown San Diego, about as urban as you get. But we
Mhm.
also have them in like places like rural Kentucky where there might be 7,000 people in the whole county, and both
Mhm.
of those can work really well for our model.
Got it. Awesome information. So what's the mission statement of Anytime Fitness and what's the company culture like?
Yeah, so the mission statement is to enhance the health, prosperity, overall well being of franchisees, consumers, and employees through purpose driven products and experiences. And formerly, we actually recently went through a merger with Orange Theory. So our old mission statement was to improve the self esteem of the world. And I think this kind of encapsulates that as well. But, it's a
Mhm.
pretty lofty goal. But, that's kind of what this entire company is about, is to make people feel better about themselves. And then since you mentioned company culture, like it's kind of funny, our co-founders literally wrote the book on creating company culture. It's called Love Work. And so we have 4 pillars that we kind of everything we do revolves around, and it's people, purpose, performance, and play. We've got a street sign in front of our building that lists those out. And people, obviously, you want to make sure we're taking care of all of our stakeholders. That includes here at the corporate office, the corporate employees, but also franchisees and
Mhm.
members, of course, making sure everyone's taken care of. purpose, of course, is the why behind what we do, which for us is spreading health and wellness all around the world. Performance, we got to make sure we perform at a high level, which helps our franchisees succeed. And then play is an important one here too. We have a lot of fun,
Sure.
and anyone who has been to our Halloween party can attest. We have a good time.
So you shared with me an interesting tidbit earlier, and this talks a little bit about the loyalty, I think, and the passion for this brand. And it's something about
Yeah.
your logo and some tattoos. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So, like when you think of tattooed brand logos, probably the things that come to mind, like Harley Davidson, Nike, Ironman Triathlon, those are some of the big ones. But we are actually one of the most tattooed brand logos on the planet. And sometimes it's actual Anytime logo, sometimes it's the AF moniker. There's different varieties, but our logo is one of the most tattooed brand logos on the planet. And so, it's such a big deal that at our corporate office, we actually have a fully functional tattoo parlor. And for certain events, they'll fly people out and tattoo artists. And then for our conference that we have every other year, we bring out 5 tattoo artists. They will be tattooing the entire 3-day conference, and there is a line the entire time. There'll be hundreds of people we don't get to. It's that big of a deal. Um,
Wow.
and and by the way, I do actually have the logo on my tricep as
I
well.
mean, I was
And
I was
I
gonna ask.
don't. And so I got it kind of to commemorate the first time. I mentioned I kind of struggled with weight for a while. The first time I got back under 200 pounds for the first time in like a decade. And so I got it to kind of commemorate that and remind myself to,
Mhm.
keep moving forward.
Yeah, that is fantastic. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about the territories for Anytime Fitness.
Sure.
Any details? How large are they? How do you design them?
Sure. Yeah. So for the territories, we do 3 miles or 30,000 population. So as I mentioned, we can go to really dense markets. We also are out in the country. So if you're out in the country, you probably get the full 3 miles. If it's a more population dense area, it's probably going to be a little bit smaller.
Mhm.
But that's usually what we do. And then what's really cool about this model is like, yeah, as I mentioned, we can go in these bigger small markets because we can adapt things. And so like for example, in let's say LA, maybe you can charge more for a membership than you could in Middle America, and we're
Mhm.
okay with that. But same with, we understand that it might not make sense to put a 6,500 square foot gym in Iowa or wherever you happen to be if it's a smaller
Mhm.
town. So we let our franchisees kind of do what makes sense for their area. So that's
Got
typically
it.
what we
A lot
do.
of flexibility. That's great.
Absolutely.
So you've got 5,500 gyms. They're all around the world. But where are you looking to expand? Are there any hot territories, any cities you're not in yet?
All of the above, to be honest with you. So, like I mentioned, we're at 2,300 clubs domestically here in the U.S., but honestly, we're really just getting started. We predict to be able to at least double what we have in the U.S. very comfortably. Of course, we want to make sure everybody has room, and we're always going to make sure that our franchisees, we're looking out for them, making sure everybody has their room. But because we can go in those big markets and small markets, there's a lot of room for us still to grow. We've got some great markets available. I would say the hottest markets right now, Texas and the Sun Belt are absolutely exploding. I'm talking to people every single day about that territory, but also like I would say the Northeast and really the West Coast too. Like those, just because they're so population dense and there's a lot of income in those areas, tons of room to expand in those areas too.
A lot of demand. Got it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the franchisee. If you could describe the ideal franchisee, you have a wish list. What do they look like? What qualities do they have?
So, I mean, I talked to so many different backgrounds and like they all can work in different ways. But like, I would say, the most common, I talk to people that are, I guess, what I'd call like gym rats and they grew up around the gym and maybe have like, let's say either a military background or law enforcement or former athletes, things like that. But then I also talk to people that are just like, hey, I heard this was a good investment. And, kind of just more like the business savvy. And it's more like, I'm an accountant and I've heard good things about this brand. Or I talk to a lot of people that maybe are coming from like restaurant industry and they're like, I love that you have such a low labor model and you can start with 2 employees. I'm used to constant turnover. And so
Yeah.
like, and really anything in between. Some people are a combination of that. Like I enjoy gyms, but I own some restaurants and I want to, kind of mix and match and see if this is a good fit for me. So
All right.
um, that's kind of what's nice too, is like I can talk to just about anybody and it very well might make sense for, a variety of different backgrounds.
Got it. Got it. So how long does this take? What's the typical ramp up time from the time you sign to the time someone opens the doors of their gym?
Sure. So I would say the biggest variable is going to be how long it takes you to sign your lease. We do have an awesome real estate team. Their whole goal is to help you find a location. So they go to work on that right away. But as you know, different markets sometimes are a little tighter on real estate. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So that's kind of a big variable. But I would say 8 to 12 months is pretty common from the time they sign to the time their doors open. Yeah, that's going to be most common, but it's expected to be within a year.
Okay. How about a little bit about the training? What kind of
Sure.
training can a franchisee expect? And then what kind of
Yeah.
support and coaching do you provide after they open?
Absolutely. So, as they are, after they've signed, at some point before they open, they're going to do new franchisee training. There's an element of online where they just kind of do stuff at their own pace. There's going to be different webinars, things like that. But then they do come out to our office in Minnesota. Ideally, you don't come out here in like December or January. It gets a little cold. But aside from that, you get to come out to our office, and it's kind of a mix of classroom and hands-on stuff. So there's a lot of learning how to use the systems, but then there's hands-on element. We have a corporate gym near our corporate office here that you can go to, and you spend a couple days out there learning firsthand experience. And then, I mean, the other thing that I think is possibly the most important element here is you get a franchise business coach. They are your personal guide to everything. So from day one, when you sign, you're going to be assigned a franchise business coach. They're going to meet you where you're at. And in the beginning, of course, it's all about pre-sale. How do we get as many people signed up as possible before the doors ever even open? So they help you with a strategy there, and work with local ad agencies or different ad agencies to come up with a game plan. But even after you're open, the whole time you're a franchisee, you have a franchise business coach that can guide you through the playbook. So
Awesome. So important.
tons of support. Yes.
So important to help ensure their success. So this has been some really great information. Before we close today, do you have any last tidbits? If you want our viewers to remember one thing about this, what would it be?
Absolutely. I guess I want to make sure that people know that, I talk to a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that are like nervous to get started because they've never run a gym before, or maybe you never even ran a business. And that's okay. You're never in this alone. And we've got a ton of support built in. I talked a little bit about support with, your real estate and your franchise business coach. There's a couple other layers to that too. We've got a construction design team. They do all the drawings for you. You get assigned a project manager to help guide you through everything. So basically what I want you to know is you're never in this alone. A pretty crazy statistic is we have a approximately 2% annual failure rate. A standalone gym, an independent gym, has an 81% chance of failure. And so it's staggering. And it just speaks to how much support we're going to give you, and we can help guide you. So, you need to show up there with a willingness to learn and ability to operate. We're going to guide you through everything. But if this sounds like something you're interested in, would love opportunity to talk with you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tony, for your insight today into Anytime Fitness. It's clear why this brand could be a very exciting opportunity for aspiring entrepreneurs from all different backgrounds. FranServe is thrilled to have Anytime Fitness as a partner, and working together, we can help even more people achieve success through franchise ownership. To our viewers, thank you for listening to this edition of FranTastic InSights. Stay tuned for more conversations with innovative brands that are shaping the future of franchising. And until then, have a fantastic day.
Thanks so much, Melissa.